Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another episode of Under the Radar, where we talk all things film. And with me tonight, I have a wonderful panel of guest critics, as always. Mr. Rob Harris, welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me, Randy.
Yeah, sure. CJ Oakland, welcome back to you.
It was good to be back.
Awesome. And last but not least, Mr. Matt Roren.
Set me free, someone. No.
Welcome. All right, guys. So just at the top of the show, our weekly watches. What are we watching this week, Rob?
I actually hopped on the Marvel train. So I'm watching phase 1 of the Marvel films, and I'm just at the first Avengers. I've caught a bunch here and there, but I really want to know what's going on after I saw the second Venom film. So, yeah.
So you're going back to revisit?
Yep, starting from square one, phase 1, Tesseract 1,
Sounds good. Are you watching them in chronological order?
I'm trying to, yeah. We watched Captain Marvel, in phase 1. So yeah, I'm trying to be chronological.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you started with Captain America and then did Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Nice.
Sounds good. Matt, I know you're always watching something. What are you watching this week?
Right now I'm rocking season 3 of Herman's Head. Yeah, I just been what I've been watching. I've been watching American Horror Story. I watched the first season when it came out, and I didn't really care for it, so I never watched any of them after that. Then I rewatched season 1. Still was like on it. Season 2 was still meh. Season 3 I started to like, and then it got meh. So I just finished season 3 today. I don't know. Just a lot of stuff. I don't know. I can't keep track of it.
I like your meter of and It's like
yeah.
I feel it.
Nice.
Yeah.
CJ, what are you watching these days?
I've just been checking out the new Chucky series they've been doing, based on Chucky, the killer doll from the Child's Play movies. They've been doing a TV show it's been pretty interesting to see like how it plays out, kind of similar to a horror movie, but like extended over time. So it's been like there's been a few like good scenes, a few bad scenes, but it's like overall I'm enjoying it. It's fun just to kind of see the dynamic they're building.
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying that show.
I've heard really good things. Is it a sequel or a prequel?
Yeah. It's the whole thing is canon.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, I didn't see the Chucky, the Child's Play remake a couple years back. Really no
Yeah,
interest.
I still need to see that one at some point, but
it was better than I thought it would be.
Okay. It doesn't look good from what I was seeing. Like it just didn't seem like it was good.
Yeah, I mean it's like the idea of it is like kind of dumb, but it was like played
What I
out.
basically heard is the very beginning is a disgruntled employee makes one of these good guy dolls that has a switch set for evil, and he sets it to evil, and that's basically why the movie happens. I'm like,
yeah, it's basically the Treehouse of Horror.
The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. They literally did that joke.
I mean, I would only see it from Mark Hamill's voice acting.
Aubrey Plaza.
She's good.
Oh yeah, she's always great.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I was like, all right, you got Mark Hamill, Aubrey Plaza. I'll go see it.
There you go.
But yeah, the Chucky show's been pretty good. I like the main character is this bullied gay kid, and it reflects a lot because I've been watching the behind the scenes interviews, and the creator of the Chucky movies and is actually a gay man working in Hollywood. So he said like he's building, it's very autobiographical about like his kind of bully childhood growing up. And then what if he had a homicidal doll that showed up being like, hey, I can help you kill your bullies. And like, it's a very interesting take on it.
There's a great line because I don't know if you're familiar with Seed of Chucky.
Yep.
I saw that after Bride of Chucky, I just gave up.
All right, so in Seed
of Chucky is a kind of bad movie, but it's fun.
It's just like stupid fun.
Yeah.
But like it's basically his son is Glenn or Glenda is like a transgender child he had.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's gender fluid. They're
Gender
male and
fluid.
female at the same time. They kind of just oscillate
Yeah.
back and forth. But it's great in the show how he directs it, where it's like, I have a queer kid, and he's like, really? Gender fluid, and just in that Jersey accent is the funniest thing.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not a monster.
It's like, of course I love my son. It's like,
He's like, I'm not a monster.
I gotta check this out now. This sounds
it's
good.
very funny.
And you get Devon Sawyer back. Devon Sawa.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And as a dual role, actually, he plays twins.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize that at first. It was very well done.
I mean, I respect the Child's Play series up until about part 3. After that, it just kind of jumped the shark. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it gets very goofy, but that's part of the fun. It's like they know it's that weird and bad with it. They're not trying to be serious.
it becomes funny, and then like 6 and 7 are like get pretty dark, like because it's like after Seed of Chucky, they just like are like, all right, we had our fun, let's bring it back to like dark, and like I mean, there's still humor in it, but it just it gets a lot like darker, grimmer.
Okay.
And then the show is like comedy again. So
It kind of reminds me of the path they took with Ash versus the Evil Dead. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it's kind of similar.
it's a lot. It's basically like, it's I guess what they're doing in most of these franchises in Hollywood. It's like the Scream TV show they made, where it's like, oh, okay, like take that, make it a show.
They're
Make it
just
kind of funny.
they're exhausting every ounce of like originality out of the original source material.
That's very true. And also I think it does lead very nicely into the movies we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. So yeah, and as for me, what I'm watching this week, whenever I do have free time, I just put on a random episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm or Mad About You. And as you guys probably know, season 11 of Curb just dropped. Well, the first episode anyway. And I'm a huge fan. I loved it. What a great way to start the season.
I mean, I know you're a fan of Albert Brooks,
Yes.
and it's great that like because Richard Lewis didn't do the season, that we kind of get Albert Brooks playing the Lewis character.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of like taking over that spot for Lewis.
Yeah, that neurotic Jewish guy, which I love.
Yep. So it's nice to have it like it's Albert Brooks and having John Hamm back.
Yep.
Incredible.
Great. Rob, are you a fan of Curb?
I really only caught it like bits and pieces. There was this one time where I was hanging out with one of my old college buddies, and we just like binge watched it like one night, and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty funny. But like I never really just like made time to sit and watch it. But
It's just it's a total feel good for me. I put in an episode and I perk up. It's just so funny and it's timeless. It's the same thing with Seinfeld. They get into these situations that anybody can imagine themselves into. And Curb is no different. So yeah. Huge fan. Glad they keep going. That more than 20 years after the first episode. So, yeah, wow. Keep going. Yeah, keep going, Larry. Larry. All right, guys. So let's get into our first movie review. And Rob, I know that you're excited about this. You've been talking to me about this with me for a while now, and it is the newest interpretation of Frank Herbert's novel Dune. And this is a very expensive movie. It's flashy. This is as epic as it gets outside of the Marvel universe. And you've got an all-star cast. I'm gonna butcher his name, but I think a lot of people butcher his name. So Timothy Chalamet. I hope that's
right.
That's right. Okay, got it on the first try. Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Zendaya, and Jason Momoa and Javier Bardem in a film directed by Denis Villeneuve. Probably butchered that too. But this movie, like I said, very expensive looking. The story it's an interesting story. I'm a relatively new to the Duneverse. But yeah, I actually watched the 1984 version in preparation for this, and they are both the same story, but the styles are very different. And I'm a sucker for 80s sci-fi, so I pretty much loved the first Dune. I liked the new one, didn't love it, but it had some strong elements to it, most notably the cast and the visual effects, and of course Hans Zimmer's score. Uh, but Rob, I know you're a fan of the source material, of the old film, of the TV show, of everything related to Dune. So, what did you think of the newest interpretation?
Yeah. Honestly, I really loved it. I thought that, you know, when you stack it up next to, Frank Herbert's first book in the Dune series, that it was like a very accurate adaptation on screen, which is not easy to do because it's a very deep, very like massively beautiful and breathtaking world that you find yourself in when you're reading it. And they really did a good job of paying attention to little details, and even just kind of capturing the essence of the characters. And I thought it was really masterfully well done. I mean, I saw the 1984 version that David Lynch did. I actually didn't like it because I felt that it didn't really translate like what I felt when I was reading the story. Like it for me, like it missed the mark in a large way. So,
It's
but
so goofy too, the 1984 versions, but it's like there's a really likable quality about it. I just watched it for the first time a couple days ago, and I still can't put my finger on what I liked so much about it. I think it was just the direction, and
yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to revisit it. Like there were some things that, like, honestly, like I really like what they did with this new version because they kind of like partitioned it. They're allowing for it to open up into more sequelizations. Like I felt like David Lynch's version, they tried to pack everything in, and like in doing so, you miss so much of like the greatness of the story that's there.
interesting.
So yeah.
What when reading because I haven't read the book yet, or it's a series of books.
Yes.
When reading the original books, is there a particular vision that you had in your mind of what the story would look like?
I mean, yes, but like I don't know how to begin to describe it really. I mean, like the way that Herbert writes is really masterful. He does things that like I've almost never read anywhere else that I can really think of. Like he'll talk about the character's vocal quality and their presence. And he'll describe environments, but it's in a way that's not boring. Like, like he I don't know, like just an example of something that is in this new film that I was really impressed with. When they're in the palace in Arrakis, right? Above Paul's bed chamber, there's like, like a relief of fish, right? That's something that was in the book, if my memory serves me correct. But yeah, I mean, it was the way that you can read the book. You can read it from like a political perspective. There's like a very spiritual aspect, which came through in this film pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also like a great theme of family, leadership. But anyway.
That's good. No, I like your take on it. CJ, did you read the original books?
I started to read Dune at one point, and I never got a chance to finish it. I read some of his other like writing, like I read some of his short stories. So he is a very good writer. He does a lot of good writing qualities and stuff. This movie, I was kind of lukewarm on it. Like I enjoyed it. It looks like cinematography. It's very beautiful. There's a lot of like good stuff put in there that I can tell is like reference to like the source material and stuff. I just feel like the plot and pacing of it was a little slow because it's like I don't know the books, and it's like I've only seen the David Lynch Dune. I watched it directly before I went to go see the IMAX version of this movie, which there was just a lot of where like, okay, I know where it's going to, but it just felt like it took a long time getting there. And I think for me it was because the villains felt very like underdeveloped and kind of generic in this movie.
Right.
Like I know like who the villain character is supposed to be, but all you see on screen is like Dave Bautista kind of looks like an orc, and they don't really have him do a lot because they're setting him up as the villain for the next, I think, two movies they're doing. I think they're making it a trilogy. And Stellan Skarsgård is just basically a fat evil guy who's going to do evil things, but they don't really say like what his plans are or anything that's happening. So I feel like whereas like the David Lynch movie, as like weird and goofy as it is, there's a lot of tension of that there's these plans in motion, what's coming for House Atreides, and he gives it this very kind of like doomed family kind of quality that I really enjoyed. And I feel like in this movie, something must eventually happen to them, but they don't really build any of those things where like these things are coming. It just kind of feels like now suddenly there's an action scene, and it feels like that's just what kind of happens in this movie. And I felt like a little like underwhelmed from that.
Yeah, and the villain from the House of Harkonnen was so much more interesting in the 1984 version than Stellan Skarsgård's version, in my opinion.
Yeah, like it was super goofy and over the top, but it's like I kind of enjoyed that in the villain because you could tell like they just want to be like, okay, this is a guy who loves torturing and murder and is just an unrepentant son of a bitch. And Stellan Skarsgård, he talks in like a really weird, deep voice, and he like is weirdly hairless and covered in like black oil at times, and will kind of float around. But it's like that's really all there is to his character. It's like you don't get anything of like what he wants to do.
I mean, I commend them on their makeup designer because they made him like his neck look really big and bulbous and like very strange.
Yeah.
But he very uninteresting villain.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they just went, okay, he's really fat. That's how you know he's evil, which isn't too great overall.
Right, and he's still floating. He floated in the 1984 version. He's still floating today. But I think it was just more interesting to watch in the 84 version, my opinion. Maybe they'll develop the character, the House of Harkonnen, more in the second installment. We shall see. But Matt, what did you think of this version of Dune?
I loved it. I've never read the books. I've been meaning to for quite some time and never gotten around to it. I mean, I loved, I love the David Lynch version, even though it's like probably my least favorite David Lynch movie, and the most unlike his other stuff, but it's still kind of like it in ways. And I mean, it's fun and it's silly, but I definitely would take this version over it any day. I feel like I like how CJ complained about the pacing. I kind of like that because it feels like a book. Like there's a lot of like taking time to do development, and like it's like what I love about books that you never get to see in movies is like this pacing that like really like how you were saying like even just like those most subtle details where it's you're painting a picture. And I feel like a lot of adaptations of books, they don't do that. They just give you like a greatest hits. And especially if you're doing a trilogy, it's just like a good way. I feel like it ended in the right a good spot, and like it just I'm glad that they announced that 2 was happening, because it would be shitty if that happened again where we didn't get another half. I mean, like I think David Lynch's original movie was like 5 hours long, and then they were like, we're gonna edit it down to 2. Like, so it's like, yeah, there's a lot missing from that too. But that's another thing I love about the modern age is like they'll release these like 4-hour movies, 3-hour movies, and like not care. I'm excited that the Eternals is like almost 3 hours. Can't wait. But yeah, like I just thought it was so beautiful. I mean, the cast was like a who's who of everything that's right in Hollywood right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Like, I mean, Oscar Isaac is hands down like my favorite actor of the last, like, whatever. Chalamet is incredible. Zendaya is amazing. I mean, you just like, I mean, I've never been like huge on Jason Momoa, but like everything I see him in, he kind of like gets me like more like, okay, I like you. And it's like can't go wrong with any Skarsgårds, whatever. They're fine. And it's just the makeup, cinematography, story. I thought it was a home run. I absolutely loved it. Got to
And
see it in IMAX. I was very happy.
and also Javier Bardem, always great to see him.
Can't go wrong with Bardem.
Yeah, and I think
Incredible.
is this their first reunion since No Country for Old Men between him and Josh Brolin?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. It's what, 14 years in the making. Awesome.
But I mean, and it's. I knew this movie. I knew I would enjoy it just because, I can't say it's Dennis Villanueva.
Yeah.
His films are always just like fantastic, like
I'm dying to
Sicario.
see the Blade Runner remake sequel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I mean, he's just a true visionary, and I was really excited for this, and it didn't disappoint at all.
Yeah.
That
Man,
was
I gotta say, I really appreciate what you said. I felt like them taking their time with the exposition with this film, like they really honored the book that way. So I really appreciate what you said.
Yeah, this movie, and I agree with you, Matt, as well. It does feel like you're reading a book here because everything it's kind of like sprawling epic. You just have in your mind, the desert.
It really does paint the picture, like it
right. So
it works like your brain works. It's like, and I've never seen anyone make a film like that before, based on a book, where it really like follows the process of reading. Like, kudos to that. I mean,
kudos to the filmmakers, both behind the camera and also in front. The acting in this is fantastic. Again, Timothée Chalamet, he's in one weekend, he's like raised the ranks of like some of my favorite actors that are working today as well. He's very young. He's only 25 years old, but he's a very competent young man.
He's been incredible in everything he's been in. I mean, when he came in with Call Me by Your Name, it was fantastic in that. And like what was the one with Steve Carell?
Oh, Beautiful Boy.
Yep. Like it's just he's just really good. And then Little Women, he's had a really good career so far.
And of course the French Dispatch, which we're gonna next week. Little sneak peek, but fantastic film in its own right. Also
it's great. I can't wait to review that one next week because you and me went to the city to watch that.
We did,
and then we realized like no one else would be able to see it. It's like, okay, we'll do it for next week's podcast. So you suckered me into another one, That's how you do it.
It was fun though. We're gonna have fun with that one next week. Okay, guys. Well, again, I just want to say again, I love the first Dune. I like the 1984 version more than this one. I'll be honest with you, just because I'm a sucker for 80s sci-fi, and that kind of had that.
Love that sting.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
We haven't even introduced that character yet. He's a huge.
They really haven't. I was surprised he wasn't there. It's like I guess they're saving him for the next one.
Yeah, they haven't done the Emperor, the Emperor's daughter.
Yeah. That's like my complaint to the movie. It's like I like a lot of it. It's like I just wish that like the side characters had a lot more to do. I feel like this is really only about Paul and the mother and kind of Duke Leto, but not as much. Like they got rid of the whole subplot of there's supposed to be like a spy in House Atreides, and that's like what the other characters are dealing with, and they have none of that there. So it's like it just feels like I wish there was a little bit more to the characters that we can enjoy and see like these other great actors get to do stuff.
Well, we'll see much more of that in the sequel, I'm sure. All right, guys. So Dune is now out in theaters and is currently streaming on HBO Max. So check it out. in a theater or in the comfort of your own home. So either way, it's a fun movie to watch. All right, guys. So now a not so fun movie, and I apologize for subjecting you guys to this one, but it's a very well acted film. It's called Mass.
I saw it on my own before you even asked me. So
Oh, did you? Did you?
I saw it a week before you asked me.
Yeah, I saw that one and I was like, oh, this sounds like it'll be a really good film, but very depressing. And I'm like, I probably won't go see it. And then you said, hey, we're going to review Mass. I'm like, well, we're going to watch this one. And then afterwards, you were like, I didn't even know what this movie was about.
I just went by the cast pretty much because you've got a great cast here. Reed Birney, Ann Dowd, Jason Isaacs, and Martha Plimpton of the Goonies fame, among other things. But basically, it is the story of two sets of parents in the aftermath of a mass shooting at a school. And basically, they meet at this in the basement of a church, basically to kind of just put everything out on the table, air out their issues, and basically just talk, communicate with another family from opposite sides. One's the perpetrator of the shooting, the other is the victim, and these two sets of parents for under 2 hours, I think it was. They just lay it all out on the table. And it's emotional, obviously it's intense, and yeah, I was blown away by the acting here. This could have been a stage play.
I thought the same thing, Randy.
Yeah,
I honestly was surprised it wasn't adapted from a stage play. That's what I assumed it was, based on like how it was kind of done.
Yeah, it was written and directed by Fran Kranz, who I don't know much about, but obviously a very gifted writer.
This is his directorial debut. I think it's the first thing he's like written also.
Okay.
But he's best known as an actor from the Joss Whedon verse. He was on Dollhouse. He was in Whedon's Much Ado About Nothing, Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
He's done a lot of TV work and a lot of small parts. But I was very happy to see his name on this, and I was like, oh, like, I'm interested in seeing his directorial debut, and it was very, very depressing.
Yeah. That's very, yeah. So he definitely knows how to write human beings like really well, and the interactions in this movie are it's mind blowing, and it really impressed me. I don't know if this will make my top 10 of the year. It's a little early to say, but the performances are phenomenal in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a very beautifully written movie. Like, it's so very human. Like, it's great, but it's so uncomfortable to watch. The best way I can describe it, it's like having Thanksgiving dinner, but where one half of the family has had a son who murdered the son of the other half of the family. And you're just sitting here with everyone like trying to make small talk, being like, well, this is going great. And that's the thing about this movie. It's like, it's two grieving families having to grieve in very different ways, and so much anger and resentment and guilt between them. And the whole movie is just all of this just boiling up and then exploding and building up. And at some point, you don't even notice when. It's like they've somehow let go of that anger and guilt and they start actually connecting. And that's when the movie gets really beautiful. But it's like, it's such it's such a weird journey to get there, and it's very painful and honest. And honestly, I can relate a lot to that. I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast before, but Randy, my dad passed away back in March. So I've been going through the grieving process, and you somehow put me through several movies that involve the grieving process. So I don't know if like you're doing that on purpose at this point, but yeah. So like I was able to really connect with these families of like all of like the process they've been going through. And the thing that really gets you about grieving is like, as beautiful as the movie was, where like they're able to connect, it's like there's then the point of you still have to do it again tomorrow and the day after that. It's like there's no point where the grieving ends, where like the pain goes away and the loss ends like that. It's like it's something you're always going to have to do. Yeah. And you wonder, like, it's so uncomfortable to talk with these people. It's so uncomfortable to bring up these feelings. Why would you even bother? But you have to. It's like you have to be able to talk about it to move on. And that's what this movie is about. It's about, it doesn't fix anything, but it's about talking about it and opening up and trying to heal. And it's a very beautifully done movie for that. Like, I was very impressed with how the whole movie came out.
CJ, I apologize. It was totally coincidental. and I meant you no harm or disrespect.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was like, just a movie about, the grieving process after 9/11. Oh, grieving process after a mass shooting. I wonder what's going to come up next for me. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll be more mindful in the future.
I'm glad.
Oh no, it's like I just find it funny every time. I'm like,
yeah. Well,
like, it's very
there was
weird
a
how these
movie
are
a
the ones
couple
I'm
weeks
invited on
ago.
for.
There's a movie a couple weeks ago. I'm glad they didn't. He didn't ask you to come on then.
Oh, which one was that?
Which one? It was the what was that movie where they were delivering the ashes?
Oh, Hudson.
Hudson, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, that would be very relevant. My dad was cremated too, so.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Good thing you weren't on for that. Sure. But yeah, Mass is all about seeking closure and just kind of making sense of a world that doesn't make sense. And yeah, it really, it felt like I was watching real people, like actually talking, just like at a table, a round table, just conversing about a horrible, horrible thing. But yeah, again, the acting blew me away. Rob, what was your take on Mass?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The acting was, stellar. I think it absolutely had to be for this film to work because those people, four of them in the room, were pretty much like the entire film. But yes, very heart-wrenching and a difficult watch. Like I kind of felt like running out of my own room when I was watching it at times. Just kidding. But the cinematography was also very good, seamless overall, and there were some beautiful pauses throughout as the story was unfolding. There was a sense of symmetry in a lot of the shots, which was a motif that was run throughout the film, I felt. And kind of just illustrating that there's like a bigger picture and there's a purpose for things, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But ultimately, like, it was a good story about forgiveness.
Yeah, the cinematography was really impressive, especially because it's like you're only filming 4 people in one room, and it's so easy to think like you would just go back and forth. But they did keep doing a lot of very interesting shots and finding ways to make things more meaningful of like where the people are positioned. So they did a fantastic job with all that.
Yeah, and also it felt like it was in real time. Like it didn't feel like a movie. It just felt like it was actually unfolding as we were watching it. So it's pretty good.
You could feel that like. And it's like watching it, and you could just feel the heaviness in that room, just like. And I love that even like there's like some like the awkward like conversation when they don't know what to say to each other. Like everything was written so like humanly.
Yeah.
Like I mean, there's like that one line where like how they brought in all the food and the water and whatever, but like no one tells them. But like. And like the one guy, he goes up and he's just like, "Is this for us?" Like just like, and then it's like, "Does anybody else want it?" And it's so uncomfortable, but it's like it's perfect.
Yeah, that's just so genuine, just so real. That those little the stuff about the food for sure.
Yeah.
Now Jason Isaacs and Martha Plimpton play the parents of the shooter. No, sorry, the shootee, the victim, sorry. And I thought, they were just, they blew me away. I know Jason Isaacs from a bunch of things, most notably The Patriot. He played the villain in that. And Martha Plimpton, like I mentioned, the Goonies, but I believe she's done a bunch of independent stuff.
She was in Parenthood.
Pretty recently, I saw her in a Law and Order SVU episode. If I'm not mistaken, I think she won an Emmy Award for that episode, and it was fantastic. Like she's incredible.
And she had a reoccurring character on The Good Wife, into The Good Fight, which is a very interesting, like total bitch of a character. She was great, and then also the sitcom Raising Hope, where she was.
Oh yeah, that's where I know her mainly.
Fantastic.
Was Raising Hope, so it's like it was great seeing the range for her because I know her mostly doing comedy stuff, and then seeing her be able to do this role is like, wow, she is killing it. Like she did such a fantastic job.
Yeah, you know, because she doesn't do a lot of like straight drama, and like she just killed it. It was I
like
like
when I first heard the description of this movie, I was almost afraid, like, okay, this is going to be one of those kind of like Oscar bait movies where it's like very over the top, because it is like a very heavy subject, and that's what like a lot of people trying to go for a cloud would do and like make a movie like that. But there's really no way you could say like they were doing this as like a gimmick or like for the prestige of it, because it's written so honestly and like humanly. Like there's no way someone would go into this without being invested in the dialogue and the characters' performances and how the actors portrayed everything. Like they genuinely cared about what they were making, and it shows. Like you couldn't do this movie like halfway. Like you had to go 100% in on it, and I think everyone involved just did a fantastic job.
yeah, they don't really like they don't make anyone the lead. It's
Right.
all four of them are as much a lead as as can be, and it's and they're all incredible and intense. That just that chemistry. They had great chemistry. It was so well cast.
Yeah. It's an ensemble cast for sure. And I can just imagine all four of these actors just giving a nice bow after a long applause on a live stage, because this needs to be brought to the stage if it's not on there already, or if there are plans to bring it to the stage. Fantastic. And the level of dedication from Fran Kranz, was it? I definitely see a bunch of award nominations in the near future. So kudos, friends. All right, guys. So Mass is now out in select theaters, so go check that out. But now we're going to just take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with one more movie review after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Randy Younger, Under the Radar, and we've got one more movie review to go, guys. And this film is also depressing, but not as overly depressing. It's called The Subject, and it stars Jason Biggs as a documentary filmmaker who basically witnesses a murder by a gang. The member of a gang is basically beaten to death by his former fellow gang members, and Jason Biggs basically does not intervene quickly enough to save the boy's life. And the second half of the film basically follows the mother of that gang member also trying to find closure and answers to why her son died. This movie was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's an independent drama directed by Lainey Zipoy, written by Chisa Hutchinson, and yeah, very intense, very well acted, especially from Jason Biggs, who I've really just known for his comedic work. But yeah, this movie really changed my opinion of him. And yeah, I'm actually looking forward to more stuff he does. Might have to revisit his filmography. So CJ, how is this film for you?
Honestly, I wasn't really that drawn into the movie. Like, I think it was just like the time I was watching it. It's a very slow drama, and like it bills itself like it's a thriller, which it really isn't. Like, it's basically just it's a very well done drama, but like there's these elements of like at times it seems like someone's recording them, or spying on them, but it's like it's almost like they forget about that most of the movie until like halfway through when it really comes in. But it's like for the most part, it really doesn't fit as a thriller. It's just a very good character piece of Jason Biggs as a documentary filmmaker, where like he worries about is he exploiting the people he's doing his documentary on because it's these young black men and trying to co-opt their stories as part of his own, and also the fear of like the guilt of the kid who died and is he doing enough on that, and just him thinking like he's a good guy, but then you keep seeing evidence that he's really not. And it's just a matter of like, is it the intention of him trying to be good, or is it his actions that really kind of paint who he is? And I thought it was an interesting movie, but I only got about halfway through it, unfortunately, and I have time to finish it. Yeah.
Really? Oh, well, I'll give you that. It is a little long. It's just under 2 hours. It's an hour 58. But I was pretty, I mean, aside from like maybe the last act, kind of, it didn't lose me, but I was a little uninterested. But as a whole, I think the film really worked, and thanks to Jason Biggs and the screenplay, again, very human, script. It just felt like it just kind of flowed, and it feels like it was really happening. But Rob, what did you think of the film?
As you said, I felt like the acting was very good. It was very refreshing to see Jason Biggs again. Like I was surprised to see him again, and he did fantastic. Cinematography was good. I thought the lighting was pretty interesting, and I did like the flashback cuts, how they were part of the documentaries that he was making, how they weaved that through, and he was watching them and revisiting them, and how art imitates life was kind of played with in that sense. But I mean, it wasn't my favorite story that I saw this year. You were saying, CJ, like that thing with like the stalker, like in the background, that was a little bit underdeveloped. It was just kind of like weird that it was portrayed in that sense. And also the second half of the film was abrupt and jarring, I felt. Yeah, that's my take on it. Overall, well made.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just, when you usually see like a movie like this where it's like if someone's like serial recording them, it's like you would have a scene where it's immediately followed up by like Jason Biggs will like run outside, maybe see someone like running away,
yeah.
Doesn't see who it is. Like you'd see like them talk, or like they talk about it after. All you see is like occasionally it cuts to a view where it's like clearly a handheld camera kind of watching Jason Biggs. He looks up at it and then it very quickly goes away, and then it just jumps to the next scene. There's no talk about it, so it feels like it's almost put in like as an afterthought. Like I really thought there'd be a lot more of him being concerned that someone seems to be recording and stalking him, and it's never really brought up.
If they really fleshed out the whole stalker angle, then it would have been considered a straight up thriller.
I really felt like it, like the first and second part of the movie, like it just like jumped, and I was like, did I miss something? Like I was like kind of confused, like because it was like flash forward to this, but without letting you know. It was very like you said, abrupt. It just like it seems like why introduce that element if you're not gonna go through with it and just like end it like I don't know. So like the editing I thought was a little weird in parts.
I think the editing was one of the best parts, actually.
Well, I mean, there was great editing throughout the film, but I'm just saying like I feel like they must have like shot like that more stuff in the middle and decided to get rid of it, but didn't edit out all, like I guess I don't know if they couldn't figure out how to, but like it just feels like they edited out something that like should have been in the movie.
I hear what you're saying, and I feel like the bridge to get to like the conclusive part of the story was like really short, and like
there was no bridge. It was just like, here's this end of the bank, here's this end of the bank, and they just shoved you over. I mean, I feel bad because my immediate response when you told us what we're reviewing, I was like, ugh, Jason Biggs. And,
I mean, that guy fucked the pie.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he was on, he was on Orange is the New Black for a while.
Oh yeah,
And
right.
when I started watching the show, I saw his name in the credits. I'm like, ugh, Jason Biggs.
Right.
And then like you kind of like the character on that show, you kind of like through the seasons you feel bad for him, and
Yeah.
like he's like you're like, oh, like he's definitely like a good actor,
Right.
but like he's never really showcased it because he never really did anything besides American Pie shit.
Right.
Like,
it's either a comedic lead or supporting comedic
like I can't think of
boyfriend or
a
husband.
movie that he's in that isn't like him, like I fucked the pie, like, or like something. It's like I'm a loser, like it's
Like in My Best Friend's Girl, he's the best friend who gets cuckolded. Like there's not much to him.
But this movie, I'll tell you, this movie really did change my perspective.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see you in more things of this nature.
He's got a really like dark, dramatic side to him, and I want to see that
Yeah.
fleshed out in other films or TV shows. So yeah, definitely want to check that out. But Rob, would you recommend the subject to people? It's a bit of a pause.
It's for me, like, it was a difficult watch. There's some things that are very uncomfortable about it. So I would be mindful of who I recommended it to. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite. So if you want to see Jason Biggs in a very good role, check it out.
Yeah, same with me. Mr. Oakland, would you recommend this?
Yeah, I gotta finish it at some point. There's definitely a lot of good redeeming stuff to it. I think I just like did myself a disservice because from the description, I thought I was getting like a tense kind of thriller story, which the idea of a documentary filmmaker who's probably like hiding some shady stuff he's done, being stalked by someone, filming him and recording him and making him the subject of it, like that could go really interesting ways. And that's not what this movie was. This movie was just a drama about a guy's life and the conflicts he has. And it's like, that maybe the ending's good. I still have to see it, but like, there's just in my mind, I was expecting a very different kind of movie that I kind of would still want to see.
All right, fair enough. Matt,
I guess I would suggest it. It's. I mean, I feel like I don't know when I would suggest it because it's like
I feel like dramas.
Very rarely is anyone like I want to watch something that's about a documentary film director, gang violence but I mean, I guess
it's a hard sell.
Can I see a drama about a white nice guy who's maybe not such a nice guy after all? Has anyone made that movie before?
Watch Falling Down.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. But yeah, I say see it. It's just it's a different type of Jason Biggs,
Yeah.
And the story is really good.
Jason Biggs with 3 G's, man.
There you go. All right, guys. So the subject is now out in theaters and available on TVOD. So check that out, the subject. Now, guys, going to switch gears a little bit. And I just want to mention that this is the 25th anniversary of the Superman, the animated series. And I just got this in the mail. This is the Blu-ray box set. It's also digital. And classic superhero cartoon growing up. Basically, it followed after Batman the Animated Series from 1992. This came out in 1996. And obviously, it's the Man of Steel fighting supervillains and, falling in love with Lois Lane. So it's a classic Superman tale. And yeah, guys, did you watch Superman the Animated Series when you were kids? It came out in 96. CJ.
I saw a little bit of that one. I was usually more of a Batman the Animated Series fan, but I remember seeing a few episodes of Superman. I enjoyed it. I mostly know the Justice League cartoon they did, where it's like it was kind of the canon sequel to both of those. So that's the main one I got into because I was like right around my age range where I was growing up and started caring about it.
Nice. And I love that Batman the Animated Series, the animation changed in the final season to flow into the animation style of Superman the Animated Series. So yeah, just classic. I was about 10 or 11 when it came out, and it was pretty perfect, just like Batman was. Great storytelling, great voice acting, and gotta love the music too. Fantastic. Rob, were you a fan growing up?
I mean, similar to you, CJ, I feel like I caught a couple episodes of Superman, but like, Batman, like I was right there for sure. Like, I remember the theme song and everything like that, and tuning in, and again, the music, was also Danny Elfman, I think.
Yeah, I believe it
Elfman,
was.
he wrote the theme for Batman animated series, but Shirley Walker did the score for the series. Yeah. She actually was she worked on the Tim Burton Batman film, the first one. I don't know if she worked on the second on Batman Returns, but I'm geeking out a little bit too much. So
I love it.
great music, very triumphant.
Yeah.
Matt, were you a fan of Superman the Animated Series?
I had never seen it until this year. I watched Batman the Animated Series religiously, 4 o'clock on Fox after school.
Yes.
Like
Let's
watched
go,
it
dude.
like every time I got home. By the time Superman came out, I was like 18.
Okay.
So it was like, a little bit past, like me actually like caring about it.
Yeah.
I'd stopped reading comics at that point, before getting back into them. But I thought it was so cool when I was a teenager. Little did I know I'd just be nerding out about the same shit I did when I was 13. Yeah, 42. That's like all I care about is same shit I did when I was 13. It's like, but I just recently rewatched the whole universe from Batman the Animated Series through like, Zeta Project and like all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
like
there was a whole bunch
Batman
of those.
Beyond, Static Shock. I watched
Okay.
I just watched the whole universe for the first time. A lot of fun. I watched it on the DC universe channel that disappeared as soon as HBO Max started up. So, and then half that stuff isn't even on HBO Max anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I got on that.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you about Superman the Animated Series. I think it's the best interpretation of the character since like the Super Friends cartoons of the 70s and 80s. So we didn't really have much Superman content animated wise between like the mid 80s up until around this came out in 96, as far as I know anyway. But yeah, Superman the Animated Series, it is now out on Blu-ray and digital through Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. So it's a wonderful set for the whole family. So check that out. It's the 25th anniversary. So, okay, guys, I just want to go ahead with coming attractions for this week. We've got a couple movies coming out. This is an interesting one. It's called The Grand Duke of Corsica, and it stars Timothy Spall and Peter Stormare. It's a dramedy. So those are two very interesting actors to put together on screen. So that should be an interesting movie to watch. We also have Eternals, the Marvel superhero movie, directed by Chloe Zhao, who won Best Screenplay for Nomadland this year. Fantastic film, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it. So that's the Eternals. Everyone's going to go see that, I'm sure. I'm actually interested in this one as well. Spencer, Kristen Stewart as Princess Diana. She looks pretty much just like her. So this might be an Oscar nomination for her. I think it's getting early buzz.
Yeah, it's the same director who did Jackie, so it's gonna be one of those.
I see
those Oscar pictures for sure.
Oscar bait. So Spencer, check that one out. This one, not so much Oscar bait. The Beta Test. It's a horror thriller, and it's a married Hollywood agent receives a mysterious letter for an anonymous sexual encounter and becomes ensnared in a sinister world of lying, murder, and infidelity. Okay, that's promising. Kind of sounds like what was Kubrick's last film, Eyes Wide Shut?
Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, feels like that. Next up, we've got Dangerous, a action thriller starring Scott Eastwood. It's also got Tyrese Gibson, Famke Janssen, Kevin Durand, and Mel Gibson. So that's an odd cast.
That might be one I skip. What a cast of people I don't care about.
Right. Same. Also, we've got an upcoming Indian Hindi language action film called Suri Yavanshi, and I might be skipping that as well. Next up, we've got an action thriller called Ida Red, and it stars Melissa Leo, Frank Grillo, and Josh Hartnett. And might have to skip that as well. Though I do like Melissa Leo. I think she's a very good actress.
We're really trying to push Frank Grillo as an action star now. Like, he's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Which, like, I like him. I don't know if he'll be like the next Gerard Butler. That's what they're trying to pretty much make him.
Well, they just put him and Gerard Butler in that movie Cop Shop together.
Oh yeah, that one. It was weird and quirky, but not really a great movie.
That movie was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, like I don't know. It was like the dumbest thing.
I don't know if I'd recommend watching it, but there's a few moments. I think my favorite was just like when one of the killers shows up to like the cop who's sitting at the front desk where he's looking at the guy's wanted poster and just goes like, "Huh, you look just like this guy." And he's like, "Really?" And just shoots him in the head. And
I mean, that's,
come on, dude, you had every chance there.
Well, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Frank Grillo, but I thought he was pretty funny in My Hitman's Bodyguard's Wife.
Oh, you're still talking about that? No.
Yeah. But no, he was very funny in that. He played, I think, a detective or an FBI agent, but I thought he was one of the funnier parts of that movie, which overall, not so great. But, all right, and last up for coming attractions for this week, we've got a drama called Violet, and it stars Olivia Munn. It also has Justin Theroux, Laura San Giacomo, and Colleen Camp. Written, co-produced, and directed by Justine Bateman. So that might...
Wow, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Nor Laura San Giacomo.
Right.
Where's she been since Pretty Woman?
30 years.
Or the Stand miniseries from the 90s.
No, she was great in Just Shoot Me.
Yeah.
I love Just Shoot Me. That was a fun one.
Yeah, but I haven't seen her in anything.
That's true.
Very recently.
That's true. You're right.
Probably since Just Shoot Me. Crazy.
All right. Well, that rounds out the coming attractions for this week. But I just want to go around, guys, and do some plugs. CJ, anything you want to plug tonight?
No, I don't really have anything going on. I'll be on next week to talk about The French Dispatch. I'm very interested in that one. It's a great film. I'm going to watch it again with my brother.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Excited for that as well. Mr. Roren, plugs?
Pickle Island. It's a store. I sell pickles. I sell music. I sell movies. I sell comics. I sit there. I'm watching TV. Come talk to me, please. Pickle Island in Bayville, New York.
Someone talk to him. He's so bored. He's so lonely.
Oh,
I fell asleep in my chair. I fell asleep in my chair today, repeatedly. Come in.
What if Matt Roren was the pickle all along?
Ooh, that's a script idea, CJ. The Pickle Man. The Pickle Man Cometh. Working title. Okay. Mr. Harris, anything you want to mention at this time? Any plugs?
Like that laugh emoji.
So my girlfriend Jennifer Covey is running a dating show. Tomorrow is the debut at what's the place again? Industry in Huntington Village. Just slipped my mind.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it should be a lot of fun, kind of like the dating game. But even if you're in the audience, come on down and check it out. And if you're interested in coming on, check out Jen's Instagram or something like that, or Facebook. Yeah.
Major League Entertainment.
Major League Entertainment.
Major League.
Yes.
All right. And I may or may not be a contestant on said dating show. So
nice.
That would be very exciting. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. All right, guys. Well, I just want to say thank you. This was amazing as always. And if you guys want to catch more episodes of Under the Radar, you could just tune into Manhattan Neighborhood Network. It's the lifestyle channel. You can also watch on cable TV, FiOS channel 34, RCN 83, Spectrum 56 and 1996. And also, please feel free to subscribe to the Under the Radar YouTube channel.
Smash that subscribe button.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. My muscle here. Oh yeah, subscribe and share, spread the word. And yeah, Rob Harris, thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Randy. Always a pleasure.
CJ Oakland, thank you, sir. And Mr. Roren, the pickle man, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm Randy Unger. This has been Under the Radar, and I'll see everyone next time. Take care.